And you also still haven't gotten anywhere near the root of the original problem. Additionally,
still have the same problems.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, right? So 2-3 months in to me using drugs, I'm now the one with the biggest problem, and I'm the one that's already starting to explore, okay, what else is out there?
Wow.
So I've always been, for better or for worse, I would say a well-read kid. I'm smart enough, and I was looking up stuff online, so I'd have like some knowledge that a teenager shouldn't have, but then I have teenage logic applied to it. So I figured out what gets prescribed to people with anxiety and things like benzodiazepines, SSRIs, whatever. Now, I started getting Xanax, a benzodiazepine, recreationally. And this is the craziest part about the story. I swear on my life this is true. The first time I took it, it was the smallest dose that you could possibly take. It was 0.25 milligrams. Okay. I look it up online. I'm like, what's the smallest that they give? So I buy this. I take that amount. That was worse than weed in every sense, because weed was just the first introduction to something that could help me escape, but I still got anxious. Xanax was like, and I hate describing it like this because I feel like it makes me sound like an addict, but that's what I was. So I hope it doesn't make people uncomfortable or trigger them, but I want to be real about my experiences.
No, honesty is obviously the best policy.
It was the best feeling I had up until that point of 15, 16 years on this earth.
Wow.
My shoulders dropped. I walked around with a headache constantly. I lived off Advil. I didn't even realize that was anxiety and stress. The headache went away. I remember standing in the shower and I'm just like, is this how I'm supposed to feel? And for those that have not engaged in drugs, first of all, good for you. But Xanax does not actually provide euphoria. If someone does cocaine, you get a euphoric effect. I've never done that, but you get a euphoric effect.
Okay.
So what's interesting is Xanax and benzodiazepines do not have euphoric properties. Why does that matter? Because it only feels good or recreational to someone who's actually dealing with the crap. So the worst people to take it, ironically, are sometimes the people that are suffering the most. Like I had friends that tried that. They're like, why do you like this? This sucks. They were calm as anyone, normally. That's why it didn't do anything for them. For me, that relief was the euphoria. And this is why you go to a doctor and don't start buying stuff off the street. Well, there's many reasons. That 0.25, what started out as a fully normal dose, if my doctor prescribed me that and I would have met the qualifications to be prescribed, I would have started at that dose or 0.5. Within weeks, I'm now taking 2 milligrams. And then within months, I'm taking 3 or 4. So if I gave someone that doesn't have a tolerance 2 or 3 milligrams right now, you're not going to remember a fraction of the rest of the day. You might do something. Yeah, like it's instant, you're gone. And so now I'm doing this in school. And I went from this straight A kid at one point. I was like, I always make a joke. I was the kid who would have told, if I saw you talking when the teacher left the room, when we were like, 7 years old together, if we were in the same class, I would have told on you afterwards. For
oh my gosh, you were that kid. Wow.
I sucked, man. Yeah. So that's how it started out for me. And now I'm this kid that's coming into school, so messed up on pills. I don't even remember some school days. I was high every single day on weed. That was for sure. That was just standard.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm coming in on this and I couldn't see the third party perspective, this demise of my life that was happening. It was just like, I'm living for 10 minutes ahead. I always say,
you're chasing the relief.
10 years.
Yeah.
So should I pause for a second or am I still good?
No, absolutely.
Okay, you're awesome.
I'm enjoying this. Absolutely. This is such an interesting story. And your vulnerability and your honesty, it makes it so compelling. It's a story that I've heard before in so many different forms. So many people have gone through this exact journey.
Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that because that's why I'm like, you know what? Is everyone going to resonate with what I say? No, but I know I'm not the only one. So when I share this, there's one of my favorite quotes, because I'm a walking self-help book, is as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give permission for others to do the same.
Wow.
As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence actually liberates others. And I think it's not that I'm so brave with it. It's more that when I started sharing it, I couldn't believe who would reach out. So it's a separate conversation, right?
Yeah.
But as I'm dealing with more severe substance abuse issues, I can't afford to keep up with the habit. It was very expensive. So my bright idea was selling weed myself, because now we're moving into like 16, 17. Everyone in my high school smoked weed, like everyone. And it was just, even if you didn't have a problem with it per se, I mean, every kid was smoking this before the football games on Fridays or on the weekends, whatever. And so there was a demand for it. And
so your teenage logical brain is always been so logical, always been a smart guy. You're like, oh, I've got a solution for my problem of not being able to afford it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it feels like so silly sometimes, or even arrogant to call it like smart. It's just like I have learned to apply, like I have an entrepreneurial mindset
Yeah, you
now,
do.
right? So I
Yeah.
apply that same thing to positive things in real life. But the bottom line is, back then, it's almost like I thought I was smart, so I knew just enough to dig my own hole deeper. So I'm like, I'll just start selling weed, because these kids, they don't want to go. I lived in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. They didn't want to go down to Philly to buy anything. They wanted someone they could trust.
Yeah.
And I'm making a decent job's worth of money, not rich, but making a decent job's worth of money in high school, and I can't keep any of the money. So we're smoking all the time as friends. We're going to buffets. We're just like having a blast constantly because the money can't stay.
Yeah.
And so once I got into the summer between my junior year of high school and my senior year, so 11th to 12th grade, nothing was really working the same way anymore.
Okay.
Like when I smoked, there was no enjoyment. It was this odd, almost numbing out, zoning out feeling. And it made me have a very negative thought cycle. There was a lot of rumination. And so I would just think about the worst parts of my life and just how stupid I am and like all this stuff. And it was almost as if like I knew that this bottle, so to speak, was filled up. The pressure was too tight. It's going to pop. I just don't know when it's going to be. Well, when it was going to be was when I had the additional stress of school. Because again, it's already hard to maintain this lifestyle of hiding drugs, hiding the fact that you're driving around blacked out on these pills, and keeping that from your family and the cops and all this stuff. That's hard enough.
Yeah.
When I added school back in the senior year, that was the pressure that was needed to just pop the lid off.
Okay.
I made it 17 days. I'm including weekends, unfortunately. 17 days into my senior year of high school, I got into, it's not the main point of the story, a serious altercation with someone else, which was caused by me completely. And I got kicked out of school for that.
Wow.
I was sent to juvie that day. And I spent my 18th birthday on house arrest because of it. And I like to keep it real, as we've already acknowledged. I never want to sound like a harder criminal than I am. I went to juvie for about 4 days, to be clear. And the juvie food was like nicer than my school's food. It was very, I was never in danger and never felt like I was in danger. I just didn't want to be there.
Hey guys, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will have access to an incredible selection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app, available on iOS and Android today.